Mrs. Ruby Merlot here to share this paint pour with you. Now I present 5-Finger Explosion. I am Mrs. Ruby Merlot. As a cultural, colorful pouring icon, I dress for every pour as one would naturally dress for dinner. I channel my muse with a quick vocal exercise, then ask my canvas what it wants to be. And now that you know my story, shall we pour? A curious antique vase passed down through my family has afforded me many happy and successful paint pours, and some considerably less so. I begin by asking my canvas what it wants to be, and right from the first drops of paint, I know this is going to be an exciting pour. Just that bit of silicone in a few of the colors has caused an immediate burst of cells. But all the tilting! Who would have thought the old canvas had so much tilt in it? It reminds me of the sea voyage, or cruise as they call it, Mr. Merlot and I took recently. As the seas began to swell with an oncoming storm, we were banished to ride it out in our stateroom. Well, it wasn't long before I had the urge to pour, so I pulled out my paints and my canvas, both of which I am never without, and began to create, using the grand piano that graced our modest suite as a pouring table. And my inspiration? A fantasy seascape in the midst of the proverbial storm, I thought. But as I began to tilt my canvas, the rocking ship began to tilt me. Suddenly the paints began spilling over the edges and onto the mahogany piano. Before I could stop their flow, the surface had become a gleaming testament to my pouring prowess. The ship's captain was so delighted by the harmonious colors and up-tempo patterns bedecking their little piano, he had me autograph it right next to Steinway. Then he comped our entire cruise. Since our stay, they have moved the piano to the Grand Salon and now advertise the ship as having an original Mrs. Ruby Merlot on board. I do get caught up in my stories sometimes. I fear I've once again neglected the instructional portion of this video. I don't care much for confessing my foibles, but in my haste to tilt certain portions to the edges, I did not follow the important rule of going slowly and bringing the weight of the paint back to center. As a result, I believe certain cells were stretched a little more than necessary. But you can see I do make sure to use my palette knife to cover any bare edges and corners and to scrape the under edges to discourage any drops from pulling additional paint off the canvas as it dries. A quick torch helps pop any air bubbles and brings up some additional cells. And look at the close-ups! What the video does not show you is the intensity of the colors and the glimmer of gold and silver running through the picture. Deep, rich, metallic purples, reds, and teals, multicolored cells scattered with abandon, and a fluidity that brings you back to look some more. A triumph, just a triumph! I thank you, gracious viewers, for joining me today. And if you're ever on a cruise, be sure to look for the Merlot Steinway piano. Just tell them Ruby sent you. If you've enjoyed this video, please click like, and if you've not yet subscribed, please consider clicking that subscribe button now. I would be ever so grateful.